Kia ora Church whānau. In 2024, we as Elim Church Dunedin are celebrating our 50th Jubilee. It's a major milestone, and we want to take some time to go through the city and remember the spaces and places where Elim Church is called home, to celebrate the journey that God has taken us on and look forward to where He's taking us to. Join me on a walk. Sometime in 1974, Murray and Muriel Jenkins moved here from Christchurch. They had been involved in an Elim community up there and wanted to see a similar expression of worship here in Dunedin. And so they began to gather some friends and early converts. We think of people like Eric and Doreen Allen and Brian and Anna Nelson, who had gathered with a heart to see Jesus lifted up in this city. And so they began to meet in their front rooms, going from house to house, celebrating, having communion, and worshiping together. As the church grew and as more and more people began to gather, it soon became evident that they would have to find their first building. And so they came to discover 5 Clark Street, which is just over my shoulder. The entrance used to be just about here with a portico, and people would step straight into the church service off the street. There was about 25 to 30 people gathering at the time, an older community, and they're really fervently seeking to worship Jesus. This facility at the time also happened to be a funeral parlor storage facility, and so from time to time they would have to move coffins aside in order to be able to have their church services. This is also the place that Jan and Clinton Kelleher came and took over the church after the initial founders, Murray and Muriel, resigned. And it was in this place that they began to see a real shift as more and more students started to engage with the church community. With Clinton and Jan's arrival here in Dunedin, the students soon started to see a shift in the congregation. Under Murray and Muriel, it had been quite an old congregation. But with this young, dynamic missionary couple in place, we soon started to see others wanting to join in worship. And so they had to move to this facility, the YWCA. Here they were able to host their first creche to make room for children, which meant that families could now come and worship in this community. It was a very exciting time to be part of the church, as very quickly the community grew and people came to join in worshiping Jesus together. In the early 1980s, church was pumping. Students were getting saved, families were coming to Christ, and soon this fledgling ministry now needed permanent facilities. So the first place that they bought was 660, George Street that is, hosting our offices and youth groups, providing midweek meeting spaces. In this time, we really started to see students in the local community come to know Jesus, and there was a real strong sense of God building and growing this church. After about a year down at the YWCA, the church came up here to the Otago Girls High School. And then after that, they came down to the View Street Gallery, which is just behind me. In the 4 years now since Clinton and Jan arrived in Dunedin, the church has been flourishing. From an initial 25 or 30 people, they've now outgrown a few premises and are now pushing into the hundreds. Shortly, they were running out of space in all the venues that we've looked at so far, and so this amazing opportunity came up to buy Aquinas Hall, which you can see just over my shoulder here. They were able to move in and begin life in a whole new way. There were accommodation facilities, a priory block, which is still there, a chapel, which has since been demolished, and it's here that the church really came into its own. There are all sorts of stories of the time here. They apparently used to spray water onto the open roof at the time and form an ice skating rink during the winters. You can do that in Dunedin. But then also things like revival meetings, hundreds of students giving their lives to Christ. Really, this was such a significant time in the life of the church between 1983 and around about 1988, when they then moved down the road to our current premises, Harrow Street. We had just sold Aquinas College and getting the 67 Harrow Street facility ready for worship services. And in the interim, Logan Park High School became the place of worship for this community. With the sale of that college, we were able to purchase this fit-for-purpose site down here on 67 Harrow Street. Now, I've heard various things at one point, the factory, it being either a toilet paper factory, a printing factory, or even a furniture factory. Who knows what it was for now, but what we do know is it soon got refit for worshiping Jesus. There was the addition of the atrium, the addition of the conference room facility, joining us all the way up to the house here right on the front. This new facility became our home from 1989 onwards, and it's a place we still minister today. Then during Bob Lawson's time, the premises right next door, 71 Harrow Street, the hub, came available. A plumber was selling up his business, and so Bob was able to buy it, and this has been a great asset to the church, both for our youth ministry, where our Oxygen group meet over there regularly, but also things like feasts and different events that we might need a bigger space for. It's also helped us with reaching out to the local community. with a number of missions events happening from this base, things like student life, hosting whānaus, all sorts of things have happened in the hub over the years. It really has been so key in making a difference in our surrounding area. So we've been here since 1989, but there's been a number of miracles along the way to make this truly our homeland. So we've got Bob's edition of the hub. Then during Mike Griffith's time, there was a bit of a battle. We were on leasehold land and we were wanting to be able to own the land on which our buildings sit. But the port who owned the land was saying, no way, we're not selling. In the end, Mike came to the point where he said, well, this is you versus God. Are you going to be found to fight against God? And within a few short years, the land was available for sale and we were able to purchase it. Then under Adam Dodds' time, he had it really on his heart to clear the mortgage. And so they were able to sell a section of the land, which was linked to this title, and also fundraise for the church to see the mortgage completely cleared. And so we've been mortgage-free for over 5 years now, which is such an incredible testimony. That said, we've been doing strong ministry here for 35 years, and the building was here long before that, and it is coming to the end of its shelf life. We've got an asbestos roof, earthquake strengthening, and 2 separate buildings on the same lot. And so we've been thinking, well, what does the future look like? Is this the building to take us into the next 50 years? Where are we going? We've been spending some time dreaming and thinking about this and doing some behind the scenes preparations. And so if this is your first time hearing about this, got some exciting news for you. I want to invite you to spend a few moments watching the video that is about to come, showcasing what we think the future of this facility could look like. Join us in dreaming for and praying for Ōtepoti Dunedin. There are still many more souls here to be reached with the gospel of Jesus Christ. God bless you.
Dedicate to God your life together and to seek His blessing upon your life.